So if you've been keeping up with the news at all, you know that essentially Bleach is going to be ending in the next couple of chapters. I mean, there are some people saying that maybe it's not, and there are some reasons that that could be believed or not be believed or something, but we're just going to really take this at face value and think that Bleach is going to be ending in a couple chapters. Now, why is this really important to me or my channel, the people who subscribe to me, or just in general? Why is Bleach ending a good or bad thing? Well, obviously, there's a lot of stuff to go into that. Bleach has been around for so long, it has so much of a big cult following in terms of people who really jumped on the bandwagon, people who really loved it when they were young but outgrew it, or people who have just kind of started watching it from the beginning or sometime down the line and have really stuck with it and become really great, huge fans of it. And a lot of people on YouTube actually go around and they do chapter reviews and they do news reviews and they do all this stuff. They want to keep everyone involved because Bleach is a real big important part to everyone's life. Now with me, it's a little bit different. Obviously, if you know my channel like one way or the other, you know that I have covered Bleach a little in the past. Basically, the one thing I want to get across with this is when I was younger, 1998 I think, when Toonami started playing Dragon Ball Z for the first time, obviously that was my gateway drug. I think it was a lot of people's gateway drug into anime and all the other stuff that's kind of like the concept of anime, the storytelling of anime and everything. But basically, by the time Dragon Ball Z was ending and they had Dragon Ball GT and Dragon Ball going on the air as well, I mean, I was watching that, but basically because of the obligation to watch it, I had watched Dragon Ball Z for a long time. And if I've covered this in other videos, is back when that used to happen, back when Toonami basically started, I think one of the reasons it became really popular was because there was a coherent story being told from one episode to another. It was very serialized. And you have to remember, television storytelling was never like that in the 90s or 80s, or we had very little television that was actually, geared to telling a consistent story from one episode to another, where you had to get home and you had to make sure you watched that particular episode in order to watch that series or to keep up with the story. Even if nothing was happening, it felt like every single episode was important or earth-shattering to you. You had to be able to be, consistently up with the story, to talk with your friends about it, or maybe even talk to some people online back during the days of like forums and stuff online. You wanted to be up to date. You wanted to go online. You wanted to look at all the spoilers because obviously Japan was a little bit, bigger and had more stuff going on than just anything else. So it was a big issue. It was a big thing for a lot of people. And when I was younger, I knew about Bleach, but like I said, I was losing my enthusiasm for anime and everything anime other than Dragon Ball. And I think that a lot of people fell into this hole, but not everyone. A lot of my friends really liked Bleach or Naruto or One Piece. But Bleach, for a moment there, especially in my early going through high school, Bleach was the it anime. I mean, that was the big one. And, I knew a lot about it. In passing. I didn't know really what the story was. I knew this kid was like a soul reaper, and for whatever reason, to me, he looked like a samurai or something, and it didn't really work out that way, but I didn't really get into it until recently with the resurgence of Dragon Ball, me getting this YouTube channel and everything like that. I just kind of wanted to broaden my horizons. I didn't necessarily want to be a Dragon Ball channel. I wanted to kind of explore different animes. I wanted to talk about movies. Obviously, I went to school, I went to college, and I studied filmmaking. I studied producing primarily, and I've actually made my own first feature and everything like that. So I wanted to, kind of share my opinions. I feel like that's the one thing you can definitely do as a solo person, especially if you're a filmmaker, is you can go around and you can share your opinions, you can make your own personal content, and just kind of get your feet wet without having to worry about other people, doing their part or something. I can just basically go in and be my own content creator. So I wanted to do a lot of this stuff, and Bleach was one of my first things. So, over the course, and it's literally been within this first year, this 2016 is when I really started watching Bleach for the first time and reading it and everything, and I've really made my way up to volume 48, the end of the Arrancar arc. And I stopped there not because I'm tired of the series, is because even though a lot of people I've talked to who have really been following Bleach for a long time think that was a very disappointing arc with the fight with Aizen and everything, this is where I think Bleach coming to an end is actually an interesting concept. I am definitely kind of the opinion that, like, that arc was not bad. And I'm not really expecting anything else that I read from Bleach to be terrible. It's not because I just kind of consider it good storytelling while other people don't or something. I believe that one of the big things about Bleach, or any story that has gone on for as long as Bleach or something is that it's kind of an institution now. There's people who, as I said, who have been covering it on YouTube or other social media sites, who have been following it for the last, over a decade now. And they have expectations. They put a whole lot of time, energy, and speculation. They've made friends. They've had overly long discussions about the potentials that where Bleach could go, how Bleach could kind of progress, and all this stuff. And now they're seeing the end of it, and they're not necessarily happy with its pacing or where it's going or whether or not it's going to have a satisfying ending for them. And I think there's another side of that argument that we don't necessarily see from YouTubers or from the community in general, is that Bleach is now an institution. It's not something that can actually disappear. It's been around. It's had so much of a cultural impact that it's going to have people like me for the next couple decades or something. It's just going to be that show that goes, hey, this was really popular in the past, maybe you should pick it up. Obviously, there was a reason it ran for as long as it did. And just having that kind of leeway to actually grab a story like Bleach or Naruto or even One Piece when it finally ends and go start from the beginning and not have to wait weeks and months and years in order to see and encapsulate all the entire story in one entity. It's just sitting there right in front of you. You can watch it, you can read it, you can do it as quickly or as slowly as you want. And I think that type of mentality, that is a beautiful thing about storytelling and basically this stuff that's going to stay around in the public consciousness, even if you don't know it. Bleach is done, but Bleach is going to continue to pick up fans like myself who haven't finished it. And we're going to read Volume 1 through Volume 74 or anything like that, and it's going to become this kind of an entity where, yes, it has its problems, it has its hiccups, the same way that Dragon Ball did, but it's an amazing story, and it was worth the time reading it. It was worth the time kind of exploring it. Now, is it going to be worth the time the people have put in it from the beginning? I can't answer that question, and I don't necessarily intend to. I don't think anyone should besides those people, because those are the people who have really stuck with it. Those are the people who, do they deserve a good ending? Yes, they do. They have been the reason it's gone on for as long as it has. They have been the reason that this stuff has actually become an institution in the first place. They deserve their happy ending. I really hope, I pray for anyone who loves Bleach to get what they want, to have the satisfying conclusion to the story that they want. Something where they go, wow, it couldn't have ended any other way and I'm satisfied. Will they get that? I don't know. But will we have this situation like people like me who come into it so unbelievably late, but can go through it and not be disappointed with one thing or another? Because to me, it seems like a fluid story. Like one thing happens and another thing happens and everything else. There's no waiting, there's no anticipation, there's no nothing. If I want to know how something ends, I will just go out and keep watching it. So the whole point of this video is, if you love Bleach, if you're a fan, if you haven't really gotten to watch it yet, this is probably the perfect time to actually be in that situation. Because you can actually sit around and you can tell people to start watching this, and besides whether it ends or not, I can pretty much guarantee you that if they get into it right now and they start liking it and they like it to a certain point, the lack of having to actually wait for the next chapter, the next volume, the next episode, the next arc, the next movie, any of this other stuff, when it's all sitting there right in front of you for a lot of people to just watch at their leisure and ingest all this information at their leisure, I can probably guarantee you that there's going to be a huge new group of fans who go out and go, you know what, that wasn't as bad as I remember. That wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, because it was just kind of, it's a complete story. No matter how long it is, it's a complete story, and it was satisfying. It didn't take too much of my time. It didn't take years of my time. So I think Bleach will continue to have a very strong presence in terms of its popularity, the institution that it's built over the last over a decade's worth of time and exposure. And I appreciate all the huge fans that have allowed this series to go on as long as it has, to actually give it kind of not only the gravitas that it has actually received over the last decade or more than a decade, but also, having an amazingly long story for someone like me to just basically pick up. And because of all the passion that was put in it, not to the creators, but also the fans in general, that we have something that could probably, for most new people, could be a very satisfying story. And I don't necessarily expect or anything to actually walk away disliking this series. I haven't yet. There's not been one thing where I felt like it shouldn't be this way or that way, because I haven't had that much time to sit around and think about it. I just basically ingested the story that was put in front of me, and I felt like while there's problems here and there, nothing has basically derailed me from going after this series and watching it and enjoying it, or reading it and enjoying it, watching it, enjoying it the way that I have. And I really appreciate that. So basically, those are my opinions on Bleach ending. I know this is basically old news, but you know, a lot of people I've been listening to from one way or the other are the really big fans who do chapter reviews and everything else. So I just wanted to kind of give my perspective on it as kind of a new Bleach fan who is excited to see basically what he hasn't before, and just kind of experience the story in its entirety without having to wait for one chapter or the next, or the ending of something, and I can do it at my leisure. And I think that's one of the big cool things about Bleach ending, and I think it's not something that a lot of people have been covering or even thinking. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. If you have anything to say about whether I'm right or wrong, or whether that's a good way of thinking about this or not, or something, but yeah, just tell me in the comment section below. I want to hear what you guys have to say about this. But anyway, I will catch you on the next video. Bye.